Originally, I was the revered senior disciple of the sacred land of primal beginnings, known for my integrity and gentle demeanor. Yet, I was framed by my junior apprentice brother, implicating a fellow female disciple. No matter how I tried to explain, everyone believed I was the culprit. Even my most trusted master doubted me. In my previous life, I argued fiercely, but still, I couldn't change my master's opinion of me. I was sentenced to the punishment of the 9 heavens' divine thunder. My body shattered, my soul gravely injured, leading to my death, and the true instigator hid behind the junior sister, enjoying the success of his vile scheme, with a cold smile on his face. Living again, I will no longer care for the bonds of the same sect. I swear to make the junior apprentice brother pay the price. At this moment, in the law enforcement hall of the sacred land of primal beginnings, I am in a daze, kneeling on the ground. After organizing my memories, I realized I had returned to the time when I was framed. The voice of the law enforcement elder, Li Chongqing, echoed around me. Lin Yichen, you have disregarded the teachings of the master and have heartlessly committed such a deed against a female disciple of the Cloud Hall. The evidence is conclusive. Do you admit your guilt? The junior apprentice brother Yun Fan quickly stepped forward, feigning a plea. Senior brother, admit your mistake quickly. There's still a chance for everything. I believe you must have been bewitched by a villain. Other disciples in the hall also spoke out in persuasion. Yun Fan was a junior disciple my master Luo Shi accepted 2 years ago. When he first arrived, he gained the attention of our sect with his tragic family background and superb acting skills. As the senior disciple of the sacred land, I treated everyone with care. But since Yun Fan joined, I was repeatedly framed, misunderstood, and despised for various reasons. Good things had nothing to do with me, while all the bad things were my doing. No matter how I explained, everyone only believed Yun Fan. Pity my master. Though possessing profound cultivation, her end was extremely tragic. From beginning to end, Yun Fan was using her. Perhaps it was the halo of the Son of Destiny or something else. But she remained utterly oblivious, like the senior sister and the junior sister, treating Yun Fan exceptionally well. During a fierce battle against invaders from the demon realm, to protect my severely injured master, I had to hide her in a cave and lure the pursuers away myself. Unexpectedly, Yun Fan took the credit. Until my fall, my master still believed it was Yun Fan who saved her. I no longer care about the past life. In this life, I will not be a sycophant. I took a deep breath, slowly stood up. With determination and calmness flashing in my eyes, I fixed my gaze on the law enforcement elderly Chongqing above, clenched my fist and saluted. I plead guilty. As I spoke, the oppressive atmosphere in the hall suddenly loosened. I, with unparalleled talent, am prodigy in the Zhuanshan domain. It is almost certain that I will transcend the tribulation and become a saint within 100 years. As long as I plead guilty, the sacred land will not truly punish me too severely. The gaze of the law enforcement elderly Chongqing also softened considerably. Though you have committed a great sin, considering your past contributions, and now you have admitted your mistake. It is good. You are sentenced to a year of confinement in the Maze Soul Box to reflect on your actions. Why does he get everyone's forgiveness just by admitting his mistake? Seeing everything, Yun Fan clenched his teeth, anger surging in his heart. That's great! Senior brother, I knew you would be fine. The junior sister Yun Yao happily stepped forward, grabbing my arm. Her soft voice made one want to pamper her. Feeling the warmth on my arm, I frowned. Suddenly, I shook off the beauty beside me and silently moved a few steps away. Senior brother, you! What's wrong? Falling to the ground, Yun Yao looked at me in disbelief. Seeing my cold and distant eyes, a sense of grievance surged in her heart. Her eyes reddened. Tears welled up in her eyes. The previous senior brother always cared for her, unwilling to let her suffer even a little. And now I had thrown her to the ground. Yun Yao was brought back by my master 8 years ago. She was only 8 years old at that time. After joining the sect, she was raised entirely by me. Whether it was martial arts or other skills, I meticulously selected and taught her day and night. During that period, we shared a brotherly and sisterly bond. She gradually grew into a beauty of the sacred land. Even her gaze towards me began to change. But this relationship was lost as soon as Yun Fan arrived. Yun Yao started to pay attention to Yun Fan and instead treated me, her sincere caretaker, with coldness. She even deliberately distanced herself from me. Later, I realized Yun Yao had fallen in love with Yun Fan. To this, I could only say that everyone has their preferences. But later, I found Yun Yao developed a hatred towards me. During a secret realm journey, I saved the severely injured Yun Yao, hoping to use this opportunity to mend our relationship. But Yun Fan accused me of colluding with the demon clan, intending to harm the junior sister. Ridiculously, Yun Yao believed him, even producing an image of me with the demon clan woman. She didn't know. If it weren't for that demon clan woman passing information to me, she would have died long ago, pulling my thoughts back. I didn't pay attention to the girl's teary look. I clasped my fists and saluted again. Elders, I acknowledge the severity of my sins. Such a light punishment is truly too lenient. I now request to abolish my cultivation, renounce my position as the Holy Sun, and never set foot in the sacred land again. It takes a long time for ice to form thickly, not achieved in a day. I choose not to seek revenge. Is already magnanimous. To expect me to stay with these so-called fellow disciples, I can't do it. Since that's the case, why not live freely as a demon? My words were like a bolt from the blue, stunning everyone. Abolish cultivation. Renounce the position of the Holy Sun. Never set foot again. Does senior brother even know what he's saying? Isn't the light punishment a good thing? Lin Yichin, are you expressing dissatisfaction to me? Law enforcement elderly Chongqing's face darkened, pointing two fingers at me. Instantly, everyone felt an overwhelming pressure, their faces turning several shades paler. Only I in the hall stood with my back straight, my mind as calm as ever. The law enforcement elder found it quite unbelievable. As a strong person in the saint realm, he couldn't suppress the pride of a mere disciple. But being an ancient monster who lived for over 1,000 years, he naturally sensed the despair in my words, recalling the past tragedy. Could it be that I was framed again? The junior sister Yun Yao came to her senses, hurriedly tugging at my sleeve. Senior brother, just bow your head and admit your mistake. At worst, I'll accompany you to the maze soul box for punishment. Admit my mistake. Again with admitting my mistake. But what mistake did I make? That girl from the Cloud Hall. She wasn't attractive at all. I had no interest in her, alright? Thinking of this, I felt speechless. I immediately reached out and pushed Yun Yao aside. Just as I was about to speak, Yun Yao once again stood in front of me. Her red lips pressed into a thin line, her face full of grievance. Senior brother, you pushed me again. Yes, I pushed you. From now on, don't appear in front of me again. You annoy me. There was not a trace of pity in my eyes. In the hall, Yun Yao's mind was in shock, her jade hand covering her heart, feeling as if something was drifting away from her. She suddenly felt as cold as if falling into an ice cave, her mind filled with my emotionless words. Tears unwillingly fell to the ground. She was crying, but senior brother no longer comforted her. In the past, at times like these, senior brother would be very nervous, trying his best to make her happy. Sobbing, what's wrong with senior brother? Where did the kind senior brother go? In the corner, Yun Fan's eyes flashed. He hurriedly rushed out, looking at Yun Yao with a face full of concern. Senior brother, junior sister is worried about you. Why do you keep hurting her good intentions? His demeanor was extremely pretentious. Yun Yao, with tearful eyes, glanced at Yun Fan. For some reason, her affection for him increased. She couldn't help but secretly glance at me again. Seeing my indifferent expression, her eyes reddened even more. I narrowed my eyes slightly, unleashing an unprecedented powerful pressure, suppressing Yunfan directly to the ground, a whining stray dog, deserving of punishment. In my previous life, I cared too much, concerned with the so-called righteous path, which gave this scoundrel an opportunity. Now I will let these people taste what fear is. On the other side, caught off guard and given that Yunfan's cultivation was to major realms below mine, he was now lying on the ground in an extremely embarrassing position, facing the mocking gazes around. Yunfan felt his face burn with pain. His face turned red like a pig's liver. Yun Yao exclaimed, instinctively reaching out to help, but suddenly froze. Her hand stopped midair. Her eyes filled with tears. Looking pitifully at Lin Yichin, she had just felt a killing intent from me. I was really willing to hurt her. The other disciples saw my cold treatment of Yunfan, and those who already disliked Yunfan felt even more disdain, not for anything else, but because Yunfan was too pretentious, plain-looking. It was unclear why the two senior sisters of the Holy Master Peak liked him. Yunfan trembled on the ground, seething with anger inside. Damn it! I'll endure again. 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river. Lin Yichin, I will make sure you are abandoned by everyone, to taste what it means to love and not be loved in return. Moments later, I withdrew my pressure. Ignoring Yunfan's expression, I saluted the law enforcement elder above with a changing expression. I dare not question any decision of the elder, but I am tired of the battles in the cultivation world. Now I only want to be an ordinary mortal, to go out and see the world. With that, I swiftly pressed two fingers to my forehead. A wisp of soul memory was extracted and crushed directly, turning into countless starlights dispersing into the heavens. Senior brother, no! Yun Yao cried out in shock, and Li Chongqing and the other elders sensed that something was wrong, urgently wanting to intervene. But it was already too late. With a muffled groan, I made a hand seal, directly piercing towards my dantian. Accompanied by the shattering of the divine mansion, the internal energy instantly poured out, my body collapsing inch by inch. Boom! A golden light shot up from my body, piercing through the heavens. The sky filled with rolling thunder, as if a deity had fallen. With myriad laments, wiping the blood from the corner of my mouth, I felt a deep sense of relief. During the excruciating pain within my body, I bowed one last time. I, Lin Yichin, feel I have no fate with the Tao path. Hereby abolish my cultivation. Renounce my position as the Holy Son. Sever all master-disciple ties. From now on, I will have no relation with the sacred land of primal beginnings. The disciples in the hall whispered among themselves. Senior brother has a righteous character. He must have been wronged. Otherwise, why would he abolish his own cultivation? Yeah, every time he went on a mission, senior brother always led by example. He even saved my life. I believe he is not that kind of person. I think there must be some misunderstanding about senior brother again. Whoever set up senior brother is really despicable. I really want to curse his mother. Listening to the indignation of the disciples, law enforcement elder Li Chongqing felt a mix of emotions. At this moment, he became even more certain that his earlier guess was correct. Otherwise, why would such a peerless prodigy decisively abolish his own cultivation? No! Just as law enforcement elder Li Chongqing was at a loss on how to proceed, a cold, ethereal voice rang out, and a stunningly beautiful figure appeared in midair. Luoshi, the empress, the leader of the 7 emperors of the Zhuanshan domain, my master. Yichin, the sacred land has nurtured you for many years. How can you leave at your whim? Come back with me. I will investigate this matter thoroughly. Stop making a fuss. Her voice was still full of undeniable authority, cold as if devoid of any emotion. Aha! Investigate thoroughly? Does the truth that comes to light matter? If it's explained this time, what about the next time and the time after that? Does the empress still think I'm just being troublesome? My eyes welled up slightly. The smile on my lips grew colder. In my past life, I had also proven my innocence several times, receiving apologies from Luo Shi. But the next time, she still chose not to trust me. In the fierce battle with the demon realm invaders in my previous life, to protect my severely injured master, I had to hide her in a cave and lure the pursuers away myself. But when Luo Shi, rescued by the sacred land, woke up without investigating, she let junior brother Yun Fan deceive her with a few casual words, believing she had found true love, and became completely disappointed in me. The surrounding disciples glanced at each other. After their shock, they sighed. Senior brother is really bold to dare contradict the empress. The old senior brother, because of a cultivator's insult to the empress, once drew his sword and furiously fought for 3,000 miles. Now to dare confront the empress like this, he must be utterly disheartened. He must have been wronged. Impudent! Is this how you respect your master and follow the Tao? I have already explained that matter to you. At that time, I was just momentarily confused and inattentive. How long will you hold on to this grudge? Luoji's tone was filled with icy chill, her ample chest heaving violently. The terrifying Imperial might felt almost tangible, instantly crashing onto me. With a thunderous roar, my body was forcibly flung dozens of meters away, blood trickling from the corner of my mouth. You will now return and reflect on your actions immediately. Master can pretend nothing happened. You are still the Holy Son. I can also help you restore your cultivation. Master, please calm down. Senior brother's words were unintentional. He didn't mean to defy you. Seeing the terrifying power hidden within Master Luo Shi, junior sister Yun Yao felt a pang of fear, hurriedly stepping forward to plead. Enough! Stop pretending. I don't need anyone's forgiveness. Steadying myself, I spoke coldly, as if long accustomed to being treated this way. I wiped away the blood with my hand and patted the non-existent dust from my chest. My eyes as calm as water glanced at Master. The position of Holy Son, Empress, you can give it to whomever you wish. As for my cultivation, I no longer care. I only want to leave the sacred land and live an ordinary life. I hope the Empress will allow it. I said no. You will return to the Holy Master's peak immediately. Luoji's face was icy cold. Terrifying Imperial might rippled out in waves. A chilling aura rampaged within her. Ice flowers quickly bloomed all around. Ha ha! Who are you putting on this act of deep affection for? I glanced at Luo Shi indifferently, laughing in my heart. Realizing that leaving the sect today was impossible, I didn't want to argue further. Raising my hand, I snapped my fingers, and a white crane soared through the sky, carrying me towards the maze soul box. Return to the Holy Master's peak? Don't make me laugh. I'm not some tragic novel protagonist, needing to save them in my second, third, or fourth life. This final punishment, I, Lin Yichin, accept. Severing my cultivation, only to draw a clear boundary. I hope the Empress will soon return my soul blood and let me return to the mortal world. My faint voice echoed from the sky in the maze soul box, shrouded in mist. As soon as I sat cross-legged, a series of destiny points were credited to my ears. When I died in my previous life, I awakened the destiny system. The system has only one function, and that is to seize the fortune of the sons and daughters of destiny, gaining destiny points. Destiny points can be exchanged in the store for anything I want. I exchanged a soul-healing elixir from the system, took it and sat cross-legged to heal my injuries. My thoughts cleared. I exhaled a breath, and a girl's delicate face appeared before my eyes. Memories flashed through my mind, ingraining into my heart. Senior brother, look, I made this peach blossom pastry just for you. Senior brother, this place is so beautiful. I wish I could stay here with you forever. Senior brother, why don't you smile much lately? Did Sue make you angry? The sound of her laughter like silver bells still echoed in my ears, But the beautiful girl of those years was no longer young as she was. She became the eternal moonlight in my heart. That girl clearly afraid of pain. But to prove my innocence, she chose to sacrifice herself, enduring the heart-wrenching pain, activating the Emperor's artifact, the mirror of retrospection, her vibrant life forever frozen in that youthful bloom. If only Master had believed me then, such a tragedy would not have occurred. Fortunately, now there is a new opportunity. I remember in my past life there was a 7-colored divine lotus. It appeared in the Emperor's tomb. The Emperor's tomb was originally part of the Zhuanshan domain, but later it was shattered by the aftermath of the Great Domain War, swept into the void. Later, for some reason, it was refined into a heritage secret realm by the great demon god. It is said that if you obtain its inheritance, you can disregard the rules of the heavenly Tao and become the strongest immortal emperor. Waving my hand, I used my finger as a pen, guiding the Che incantation, condensing a message crane. Granny Liu, I have found the approximate location of the 7-colored divine lotus, but it is a special place. I will need at least a year to retrieve it. I must trouble you to wait. With that, I waved my hand. The writing turned into a paper crane, flying straight towards Dan Peak. In my previous life, I was punished with the 9 heavens divine thunder. I had no time to go. Later, when I got the news, the 7-colored divine lotus had long disappeared, causing me to miss this only chance to save Li Susu. Now, this 7-colored divine lotus, I am determined to obtain it. Meanwhile, in the Grand Hall, Empress Luo, she sat at the main seat. Several elders of the sacred land stood on either side, their sharp gazes fixed on an old man in the center. The old man used the divine power of time reversal, recreating the scene of the female disciple being humiliated in a bronze mirror. In the scene, the original me was transformed into a sinister-faced man. From beginning to end, it was someone else's deliberate disguise, masquerading as me to violate the female disciple of the Cloud Hall. The intent was blatantly obvious. This is a frame-up. As soon as these words were spoken, the hall erupted in astonished cries. Their hearts became lively, their eyes frequently glancing upwards, trying to discern something from the Empress's face. A dignified emperor, if she investigated carefully, could indeed uncover some deceit. But they understood human nature. It was impossible to expose someone's shortcomings in front of the Empress. Although the elders did not speak directly, the ridicule in their eyes could not escape the Empress's notice. Now the truth was very clear. They had indeed wronged me. As for my disheartened decision to leave the sect, let the Holy Master himself mediate. After all, it was he who brought him back to the sacred land, and there was also a 10-year master-disciple relationship. He should forgive you. The first elder on the right, Elder Che Dao, looked displeased. In terms of seniority, he was higher than Luoshi. Seeing his favored junior being wronged for no reason, he spoke mercilessly. After hearing this, Luoshi nodded woodenly. She had wronged her most beloved disciple once again. Her heart was heavier than ever before. His punishment was decreed by me, so I will personally go to retrieve him. Moreover, Yijin did not commit this act. A 10-year deep master-disciple relationship. Yet even the most basic trust could not be maintained. How disheartening it must be for him. No wonder he admitted his guilt to the end, even to the extent of abolishing his own cultivation just to leave the sacred land. The crowd cupped their hands in respect and left in groups of 2s and 3s. In the maze soul box, a paper crane hovered in front of me. I reached out and crushed it, looking up at the words in the air. Brat! It's clear what you need to do. Just let go and do it. Besides, the sacred land has already found out that you were framed. But the old woman thinks the Zhuanshan domain is vast. Once there is a first time, there will be a second. If you feel truly aggrieved, then try to let go. Believe that you will shine wherever you go, and be sure to take care of yourself. Assess the situation. Susu is the one who most hopes you will be safe. At that moment, an oar came rushing from a distance. The person was law enforcement elderly Chongqing. In an instant, he was in front of me. Nephew Lin. The matter has been cleared up. The sacred land will soon restore your innocence. You no longer need to stay in the maze soul box. Return to the Holy Master's Peak. Law enforcement elderly Chongqing spoke gently. As a strong person in the Saint realm, such respect towards a junior was already very considerate. No need. I am no longer her disciple. I will stay here for a year, and then I will leave on my own. In my previous life, I worked hard to prove my innocence, but all I got was alienation. Now I take the initiative to admit my mistake, yet they are still hesitant. But who are they doing this for? I no longer care about my master and the others. Law enforcement elderly Chongqing took a deep breath, thinking I was still being stubborn. He solemnly promised, Nephew Lin, I know you are aggrieved, but why not give the Holy Master a chance? I guarantee there will never be such an incident again. A cold smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. Then how should I explain my past life? Master didn't trust me. Senior sister didn't understand me. But whenever Yun Fan was in trouble, everyone seemed to collectively have an epiphany, each turning into a great detective. For example, inviting the Grand Elder this time. In the past life, it was always Yun Fan who received such treatment. My decision is made. Elderly, no need to persuade me further. I had no intention of being perfunctory. Directly cutting off Li Chongqing's words. As my cold words fell, ripples appeared in the space. A woman who made the world pale stepped through them. Luoshi appeared, her face extremely pale. She had heard the entire conversation just now, thinking that if she lowered her head, things could return to the way they were. But she never expected my resentment to be so great, making her unable to remain calm. Eager to make amends, she couldn't lose me. What? Is the Empress not satisfied with my current fate and ready to clean house? I looked up, staring at her. There was no emotion in my eyes. Yijin, what are you saying? How could I hurt you? Luoshi smiled bitterly, feeling a faint pain in her heart. Is that so? If that's the case, then please leave, Empress. I will stay here for a year. Whether you agree or not, I will leave after that. Of course, the Empress can also choose to kill me. There was little amusement in my eyes. I raised my hand, pointing somewhere, unwilling to say another word. Yichin, no one is perfect. I know this time it was my fault. Can't you forgive me just this once? I promise such a thing will never happen again. This time, I said with a cold smile, unable to suppress the anger in my chest any longer. What? In the Empress's eyes, Susu's life is not worth mentioning? Just this once, if you had been willing to check carefully, wouldn't you see the truth? Wasn't all this your choice? What are you guaranteeing me now? Does the Empress still want me to be like a dog, obeying you completely, being appeased with a bone to settle everything, begging for mercy? After countless misunderstandings, I am already weary. The passionate youth who cared deeply for them died a long time ago. Luoshi was stunned. Her eyes instantly filled with visible confusion and panic. She stepped forward, reaching out to grab me. But I dodged her. Her delicate hand paused midair, hesitating for a few seconds before retreating. An immortal fruit appeared in front of me. Yichin, I know you hate me, but I won't give up on you. Her hoarse, pleading voice sounded behind me. I couldn't help but pause, calling her master one last time. Master, there is no right or wrong between us. All the past events, I hold no hatred towards you. You don't need to feel any guilt. In the future, our paths will be distant. The story has ended. Forgive this disciple for not sending you off. This is the last time I will call you master. As I said this, I looked up at the starry sky, feeling a sense of lightness all over. My eyes also showed a hint of relief. As for this immortal fruit, I am no longer your disciple. I cannot accept it. Hearing my decisive words of severance, Luoshi murmured sadly, wanting to reach out to the taller figure than before. But she couldn't take that step. Only a desolate figure remained standing there for a long time. But I no longer had the heart to look back. When love is gone, looking back becomes a luxury. In the martial field of the sacred land of primal beginnings. Hey, have you heard about Senior Brother Lin's situation? Heard about it. I was there at the time. When Senior Brother Lin acted like that, I knew he must have been misunderstood. That's right. I thought the same at the time. Not to mention his strength. Just think about Senior Brother Lin's handsome face. How many female immortals must be admiring him? Why would he bother with such a thing? And it seems all this was testified by his junior brother, Yun Fan, and junior sister Yun Yao. This Yun Yao is really a backstabber. Senior Brother Lin was always so good to her. And that Yun Fan, who would have thought he's not only ordinary looking, but also so malicious? Exactly. In the Hall of Enforcement, Senior Brother Lin pushed Yun Yao and then strongly suppressed Yun Fan. He must have been disgusted by the two of them. A few disciples gathered in small groups, whispering while frequently glancing towards the corner, where Yun Yao and Yun Fan stood. Their expressions full of disdain. Listening to their unabashed mockery, Yun Yao couldn't contain her anger. She stepped forward and shouted, "What are you pretending to be noble for? When Senior Brother was in the Hall of Enforcement, why didn't you speak up then? What kind of skill is it to gossip behind someone's back?" She told the truth. What's wrong with that? The decision was made by her master. Why don't you blame her? The crowd fell silent for a moment, but soon a female cultivator with crossed arms stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with a provocative light. Facing Yun Yao's fiery gaze, "I didn't defend Senior Brother Lin at the time, but do you think everyone is like you? Insisting that Senior Brother did it? Enjoying someone's kindness for 8 years, yet showing no gratitude, not a shred of trust. No wonder Senior Brother Lin ignored you. It's truly disgraceful." Exactly. Not even a true immortal, yet acting like a little fairy, with someone leading. The surrounding crowd burst into a clamor. In the past, Yun Yao relied on my protection, arrogantly treating everyone with disdain. They had long been displeased, hearing the formerly gentle Senior Brother and sister now speaking so sarcastically. Yun Yao's delicate body trembled violently, her ears filled with a buzzing noise. The scene around her started to spin. At that moment, a divine presence suddenly descended. During a lecture, maintain silence. The disciples, shocked, looked up, quickly bowing in respect. Disciples greet elderly. Seeing law enforcement, elder Li Chongqing approaching, Li Chongqing landed gracefully, glancing at Yun Yao and Yun Fan. "Yun Yao, Yun Fan, you don't need to attend the lectures for now. Go back and practice your swordsmanship." His tone carried a hint of coldness. He could understand Yun Fan testifying. After all, he had only been in the sect for a few years, but Yun Yao had been with me for 8 years. From the moment she joined, I treated her like a sister, spoiling and favoring her immensely, a fact envied by many disciples. Wasn't that enough for her to understand my character? Yet she was so eager to testify against me. Yun Yao responded hoarsely, her expression extremely desolate. Even if Li Chongqing hadn't spoken, she couldn't stay there any longer. "Sister, wait for me." Yun Fan hurriedly apologized and followed her. The two returned to the Holy Master's Peak in sorrow. Yun Yao couldn't help but ask, "Junior brother, did we really make a mistake?" "Sister, we just reported what we saw truthfully. If they don't understand, that's their fault. What wrong have you done?" But Yun Yao wanted to reflect on her inappropriate actions. But seeing Yun Fan, she swallowed her words. A smile unexpectedly appeared on her face. "Right. It was Master who asked. I may have made a small mistake, but senior brother always spoils me. He will surely forgive me." At that moment, she even hoped that senior brother really did that. "Heha! Sister is absolutely right." Yun Fan's lips curled slightly, his eyes gleaming with a strange light. A year later, in the maze soul box, I sat cross-legged, surrounded by intertwining 5-colored lights, releasing a heart-palpitating power. 5 elements divine art, each color representing a different power. Gold signifies killing, wood signifies life, water signifies movement, fire signifies attack, earth signifies defense. I withdrew my divine sense. It was time to leave. I stood up, brushing off the dust, my eyes lingering meaningfully towards the southeast. During my divine sense scan just now, I saw the figures of Yun Yao and Yun Fan. During this time, Yun Yao had come to the maze soul box several times seeking forgiveness, but I avoided her every time. At first, she blushed. Later, her eyes reddened with tears. If there is no fate, why meet again? Before leaving, I had a thought. A long sword flew out from my storage ring. Looking at this sword, I couldn't help but feel a surge of emotion. The Janmu sword, a birthday gift from my master. I remember being happy for a long time then, and solemnly named it Janmu. Janmu, a boy's implicit affection. But it never fulfilled its intended meaning. Instead, it was broken by Luoshi herself. She thought I had failed her expectations and was unworthy of the sword. It seemed it was also to protect Yun Fan. Taking a deep breath, I placed the Janmu sword and the disciple token on a green stone. Stepping out of the maze soul box, I glanced towards the Holy Master's peak. From the start, I felt a gaze fixed on me, never leaving. But I didn't mind. I summoned the celestial crane and headed towards Dan Peak, facing no obstacles along the way. Wow, senior brother Lin is here. Wow, it's senior brother Lin. He's so handsome. I really like him. In a corner of Dan Peak, several female disciples blushed slightly, seeing me dressed in a white robe, looking like a true immortal descending to the mortal world. Seeing this, I was no longer surprised, though I knew my handsomeness was just a bit inferior to the idols on the screen. At this moment, a streak of light flew swiftly from one side. A bright young woman wearing the Sacred Land Disciple uniform appeared in front of me. It was the same woman who had previously confronted Yun Yao, named Zi Muxu. She was the Dao companion of my close friend Ning Qiu. From the beginning, her personality was cheerful and lively. She roped me and Ning Qiu into forming the Sacred Land's 3 Musketeers, always robbing the rich to help the poor, digging graves and exploring tombs. Zi Muxu greeted me boisterously. "Senior brother, tell me, the emperor-level martial art you gave me last time, whose ancestor's grave did you dig it from?" Steadying herself, Zi Muxu sized me up. 3 months ago, she visited me. To distract her, I gave her a martial art manual. Zi Muxu thought it was just a random gift, But she never expected it to be an emperor-level martial art. One must know, among the true disciples of the Sacred Land, only a handful possessed emperor-level martial arts. I got it by chance. Is it working well for you, junior sister? Well, it's more than well. I feel that after practicing it, I can take on 10 people alone. It's incredibly powerful. Zimuxu's face lit up with excitement. She demonstrated enthusiastically. By the way, senior brother, can I let Ninkyu practice this martial art too? I smiled slightly. I originally planned to give each of you a copy, but now that you have this thought, I will pass Ninquest's share to you. You can give it to him when you see him. Hearing this, Zimuxu's eyes widened in shock. Then she looked puzzled. Why don't you give it to him yourself, senior brother? I am about to leave the Sacred Land. I don't know when I will meet him again. I trust you to deliver it. I smiled warmly. In this place, there are not many friends I can truly trust. Ninkyu and Zimuxu are among them. In my past life, Ninkyu died fighting for a forbidden elixir for me. And when everyone accused me, it was Zimuxu who stood up, loudly proclaiming, "What nonsense are you all talking about? Even if we could do it all over again, Ninkyu would still help me without hesitation. You all don't understand what true camaraderie is." That one sentence stayed with me for a lifetime, and I felt guilty for a lifetime. Zimuxu blinked, her small face full of sadness. After 7 years together, she couldn't bear to part with such a good senior brother. I bid her farewell with a bitter smile, then proceeded deeper into Dan Peak. In no time, I reached a grand hall. Stepping inside, on a jade bed in the center, a beautiful woman lay with her eyes closed, her hands gently placed on her flat stomach, as if she were quietly sleeping. Looking at her delicate face, I was filled with guilt. I had fought Yun Fan for decades, proving my worth to the world, but ultimately I failed these silly girls. Don't worry, I will save you soon. As the sun was about to set, I finally stepped out of the hall, riding the crane away, at the foot of the Sacred Land. As I leisurely walked, my expression suddenly darkened. Looking up, I saw Luoshi in a white dress. But now her eyes were sunken, her expression tired and sorrowful. She no longer had the cool elegance of a snow lotus on a high peak. Yijin, the outside world is dangerous. Come back with me. I laughed. Dangerous outside? How is the Holy Master's Peak any better? A stranger's knife only wounds the body, but a familiar knife wounds both body and heart. Seeing my flickering gaze, Luoshi anxiously stepped forward. Yijin, come back with me. I will help you restore your cultivation. Such things will never happen again. I promise. Her voice carried a hint of hoarseness. Since beginning her cultivation, she had never felt such anxiety. But today she was genuinely terrified, feeling everything slipping out of her control. Hearing this, I just coldly smiled. Does the Empress think I have a masochistic tendency, willing to stay here and let you trample on my dignity repeatedly? If you don't want me to hate you ... then let me leave the sect, so we can all maintain some dignity. With that, I softly called my celestial crane, and headed in a direction. Watching my departing figure, Luoshi held back the sorrow in her eyes. Just a little bit more, just a little bit, and she would have been unable to suppress her inner demons, forcibly detaining Lin Yichin. On the other side, I directly used the cross-domain teleportation array to the southern borders. The southern borders are located to the south of the Zhuanshan domain, mainly a gathering place for the demon clan. The customs are fierce and bold. In a certain inn in Luofang City, cultivators from various worlds and clans gathered, all for the soon-to-open Burial Heaven's secret realm. I sat by a window in the tavern, sipping the wine in my cup. At that moment, in the sky above Luofang town, a giant flying boat appeared out of the void, casting a large shadow on the ground. Following that, several female cultivators clustered around, an exceptionally beautiful woman stepping on a lotus, her face veiled with gauze, her aura ethereal. It was the Green Lotus Fairy. Instantly, some people became excited, their eyes blazing with fervor, even breathing heavily. The Green Lotus Fairy was a famous beauty in the Zhuanshan domain. Her appearance naturally made many people eager to see her face. I heard the Green Lotus Fairy has cultivated her divine lotus body to the 8th transformation. She will surely be a great powerhouse in the future. Wow, that's truly terrifying. I heard the divine lotus body has 9 transformations. Once fully cultivated, it blooms with 9 flowers, reborn 9 times, reaching unimaginable heights. I wonder how the Green Lotus Fairy's strength compares to Saint Lin. If it were before, I would definitely side with Saint Lin, but recently I heard he abolished his own cultivation a year ago. How can he compare to the Green Lotus Fairy now? He's probably not even as strong as me now. Sigh. That's really a pity. People whispered among themselves, with various expressions. Meanwhile, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the Green Lotus Fairy had arrived outside the tavern. Her lively and bright eyes instantly locked onto me. Sensing something, I looked up, meeting the gaze of the Green Lotus Fairy. The Green Lotus Fairy walked straight to me and bowed slightly. Then she spoke with an apologetic tone. Green Lotus is here to apologize on behalf of the misunderstanding about the saint. I hope this won't strain the relations between our sects. She had joined the sect as a child. To her, the Cloud Hall was her home. Naturally, she didn't want the Cloud Hall to offend a peerless genius. I responded with a nonchalant smile. The saintess has done no wrong. There is no need to apologize to me. As for the Cloud Hall, it won't affect the friendship between us, will it? Oh! And please call me by my name from now on. I am no longer the saint. It's not proper to use that title. I put down my wine cup. Friendship, huh? The Green Lotus Fairy smiled softly upon hearing this. Her smile was like a spring breeze, warm yet elegant. Lin Yichin, since you say so, I will respect your wish. But to me, you will always be the saint I respect. As I and Green Lotus sat across from each other, conversing pleasantly, a sweet, captivating voice echoed through the hall. Brother Chongsheng, you are truly heartless. With a new beauty by your side, you've forgotten your old flame. I am so heartbroken. That voice seemed to carry a certain magic, making people helplessly drawn to it. With the voice falling, a charming girl in a red
With a
silk
bewitching
dress
appearance
gracefully floated to my side. Whether intentionally or not, the distance between us was just a few centimeters. A rich but not overpowering fragrance emanated from her. From my perspective, her full, plump bosom looked like creamy jade, firm and large. And her legs were even more. Like golden lotus petals, her delicate jade feet were still bare. Seeing this, I swallowed hard, quietly shifting my body, noticing my subtle movements. Yin Wanwan blinked at me resentfully, her soft body leaning in closer. With affectionate eyes, she grabbed my hand, trying to press it to her bosom. If you're afraid, brother, you can feel my heart. You'll feel warmth. My pupils contracted, terrified. I quickly pulled my hand away from her warm, soft grip. There are too many people here. We'll talk later. Hearing this meaningful statement, Yin Wanwan's eyes rippled as she looked at my exceptionally handsome profile, feeling as if I had changed ever since he joined the sacred land, after having sisters. Though he didn't avoid her like the plague, he had become distant. His love seemed entirely directed at those two heartless women. Her heart ached, only able to cry silently in the lonely nights. Yet she never resented me. If there was any blame, it was on the division between humans and demons. As long as I was happy, she was willing to bless me from afar. So during that time, she immersed herself in cultivation to numb her feelings, to stop thinking, to stop longing. But it angered her that the women she cherished hurt him so thoughtlessly, doubted him. She could no longer suppress her love, repeatedly encountering me by chance. After a while, she collected herself, her eyes shining even more brightly. Okay, I'll do whatever brother says, she whispered into my ear with a warm breath. Opposite, the green lotus fairy watched as Yin Wanwan pressed her whole body against me, her lips almost touching mine. Unable to bear such a passionate scene, her face flushed with heat, quickly interrupting the situation. Saintess Yin, you're quite eager, aren't you? How can I not be? I'm already 18. At this age, worldly women already have children. But poor me and brother Yichin, we haven't even kissed yet. Yin Wanwan pouted, looking sad and upset, casting a resentful glance at me as she spoke. But after the green lotus fairy's words, she quieted down. She liked being obedient. She wanted to be ladylike, seeing Yin Wanwan's exaggerated act. The corner of Green Lotus's mouth twitched. Is it really good to give away for free? The three of us continued chatting for a while, learning of my decision to leave the sacred land of primal beginnings. Yin Wanwan was visibly excited. She had disliked Luo Shi for a long time. By the way, brother Yichin, what about your cultivation? Yin Wanwan suddenly asked through a voice transmission. Dispersed. I raised an eyebrow. Ha. If that's the case, brother Yichin, Wanwan will be thrilled. Yin Wanwan's lips curled into a mischievous smile, her dimples adding to her cuteness. As clever as she was, she had long planned that if my cultivation was truly gone, she would swiftly pull out a sack and take me away. Cook the rice before anyone knew. Having a child every year, aiming for 10 children in 10 years. Not to waste their excellent genes. I poked Yin Wanwan's smooth forehead with my index finger. You're so happy. On the side, the Green Lotus Fairy watched our playful interaction, her eyes filled with shock. Though the human and demon clans weren't sworn enemies, they were still different, and their hearts were bound to be different. Thus, many sects taught to exterminate demons. The Cloud Hall was no exception. At that moment, her communication device gently vibrated. A message entered her mind. She glanced at us. Taoist Lin, I must go meet up with the disciples of the Cloud Hall. Perfect. We need to leave too. I nodded with a smile, pulling Yin Wanwan towards the exit. Green Lotus Fairy, as friends, if you ever encounter anything tricky, feel free to come to me. Outside the tavern, I paused to remind her. The Green Lotus Fairy was stunned for a moment, then nodded thoughtfully. If you encounter any trouble, you can come to the Cloud Hall to find me. Watching the delicate figure of the Green Lotus Fairy disappear from sight, I suddenly felt a chill on my neck. Turning around, I saw Yin Wanwan's luscious red lips slightly pouting, a smile not reaching her eyes. Brother Yichin, she's gone. Why are you still looking? Yin Wanwan spoke softly. What? Are you jealous? Seeing the reproachful look in her eyes, I pinched her smooth, tender cheek, finding it incredibly pleasant to touch, like squeezing a ball of cotton candy. Yin Wanwan blushed at the sudden, affectionate gesture. Looking at the handsome face she had imagined countless times in her heart, she shyly lowered her head, letting out a soft hum. A shadow fell over her, and my kiss landed on her fair forehead, feeling the warm breath on her cheek. Yin Wanwan's eyes widened in surprise, her heart racing, her small ears turning red, almost as if they were about to drip water. Still jealous? Seeing me lick my lips, Yin Wanwan snapped out of her daze, touching her itchy forehead, her eyes sparkling with mischief. She softly murmured, I'm warning you, we demon women value our chastity above all. You kissed me. You can't be irresponsible. Someone used to always ask me to kiss her. I looked at Yin Wanwan with an amused expression. That was being playful. It was different back then. HMPH. Then why don't you comfort me now? Yin Wanwan pouted, stomping her foot in embarrassment. After all, we were all just little kids back then. Kisses were just innocent then. Now kisses are about love between a man and a woman. Although she had always been intent on pushing me down. But clever as she was, she could say it outright. You were the one who started this. You can't avoid me anymore. And you can't ignore me. I will cling to you for the rest of my life. Yin Wanwan pouted, then stepped forward to hug my arm, her little head naturally resting on my shoulder. At that moment, I felt an immense sense of peace. I chuckled softly and flicked her delicate nose, then raised 3 fingers, looking at her sincerely. If you are willing, then I, Lin Yichin, swear by my Tao heart, to the heavens above and the underworld below, with the ancestors of the heavens as witnesses, that I will protect Yin Wanwan for all eternity, never abandoning or forsaking her, to grow old together with black hair and white. If I break this vow, may I die and my Tao be extinguished, never to enter reincarnation. As soon as I finished my vow, thunder rumbled across the previously clear sky. An inexplicable aura of the Tao silently descended upon me. In the past, to avoid disappointing my master, I began deliberately avoiding Yin Wanwan, believing time would erase everything. But it wasn't until she died blocking a sword for me, staining the sky with her blood, That I realized some girls must not be let down. Some love only grows deeper with time. How could I push away the beloved woman beside me now? You really are a fool. Who told you to make such a vow? Looking at my handsome face, Yin Wanwan's eyes turned red. Her heart trembled. A Tao heart vow is a cruel curse. But it is also a solemn promise. If a cultivator breaks it, they will suffer backlash from the Tao, truly leading to their demise. My beautiful Wanwan, will you be my eternal Tao companion? I smiled warmly, my eyes reflecting Yin Wanwan's incredibly beautiful face. Yes, I am willing. Yin Wanwan threw herself into my arms, lifting her beautiful face, tears shimmering in her eyes as she nodded repeatedly. These words she had waited countless days and nights to hear. In Luofeng City, Yin Wanwan clung to my arm, seeming to have endless thoughts to share. Do you remember when we first learned to talk? We could chat from morning till night. But since you left the sacred ruins, my heart felt empty. I trained hard, just to be with you as soon as possible. But later I found you seemed to be avoiding me. You don't know how sad I was then. My heart ached. I reached out to stroke Yin Wanwan's little head. I was so foolish back then. HMPH, you're not foolish at all. You just value emotions too much. That's why you are bound by righteousness. That empress and your fellow disciples are blind and heartless. Leaving them was the best decision. Besides, I've saved up quite a few treasures over the years. Enough to support my man comfortably. Yin Wanwan pouted, feeling indignant for my sacrifices. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh and cry, not wanting to continue this gloomy topic. So I asked, by the way, Wanwan, how is the demon lord? What's not good about her? She eats and drinks well. When she's bored, she goes out to kill someone for fun. Yin Wanwan looked a bit wistful, remembering 17 years ago. She had milk in her mouth, but her heart was filled with thoughts of the demon clan's future. Until I was picked up by the demon lord and she realized, as clever as she was, she immediately decided to abandon such plans, to focus on growing strong. While longing for a cute little husband, she waited and waited, seeing me grow more heroic by the day. She had already thought of names for our children in her little head. But damn it, she never expected the man she hadn't yet fully raised would be given away by the demon lord. Imagine how much this hurt her young heart. It's only because she's beautiful and kind-hearted. If it were someone else ...